Hey there, AfterBuzzers, and welcome to the Law & Order Special Victims Unit After Show. Today, we are talking Season 16, Episode 19, Granting Immunity. Stay tuned after
You're
the jump.
tuning into the destination for TV superfan discussion, AfterBuzz TV. And now, let the buzz begin.
Oh yeah. Bring it on in. Dance moves. Here we go. Oh yeah, with a little lighting. Thank you, Steven. I'm loving it, loving it. All right, guys, we are back. And this week, we are going back in time and recapping from Season 16. It's Episode 19, Granting Immunity. And I'm your host, Lauren Salaun, for the afternoon, and I'm joined by Jesse Janedy. How's it going?
Dab on the Law and Order beat. I just wanted to
Awesome. So, y'all can find me online, Twitter, Instagram, everywhere at Lauren Salaun. And how about for you?
everywhere across social media at DJ Jesse J.
Perfect. I love that. And guys, before we dive into everything, we want to give you a little disclaimer here. So obviously, if you're a big fan of SVU, you know that the show deals with some sensitive subjects, and we get all up in that. So we want to let you know that we may make some jokes and talk about things that may make people uncomfortable. So if
babies.
Like babies, and today vaccines, or to not vaccinate. And so if that may make you uncomfortable in any way, feel free to just jump on off or just suck it up. I don't know.
Put your earmuffs on.
Yeah, we're gonna get real. And also want to let you guys know, while this doesn't necessarily completely apply to today's episode, but if we've got a hotline for y'all, it is the Rape, Abuse, and Incest National Network hotline, and that number is 1-800-656-HOPE, 1-800-656-HOPE, in case anyone is going through anything, related to the things that we cover on this show. Feel free to give them a buzz. Alrighty, so this week's episode, I feel like it was trying to force a lot into one episode.
It was a very full episode.
So
not as much as like the past couple that we've watched. I felt like at the end of this past season.
Right. So basically, pornographic photos from a high schooler's phone appear, and they're from this house party, and they're circulating and basically going viral around this, Tribeca High School in New York City. And the SVU team kind of catches wind of this because, the photos are popping up and this is happening. Yeah. And then with all this, a measles outbreak occurs with all these kids who were swapping saliva and other fluids. Measles starts popping up with all of them randomly, curiously, and Noah, who at this point is Liv's foster son, he gets affected by this too. He's a baby. He's just went in for his immunizations, and so he has to be quarantined and all this stuff. So it turns from this sex party. They're having a rainbow party.
Rainblow.
Oh yeah, sorry, rainbow party. And it turns from this rainbow party where you collect all the colors of the rainbow based on what lipsticks the girls are wearing.
It's so crazy, because I've heard of this
ridiculous.
before in real life, and then to watch this episode, I was just like, what?
Yeah, it's so silly.
Question, did you think, though, at first, when I first watched it, I was like, oh, this is probably... And I've seen this episode before, but I don't know why when I watch SVU over again, it's like I've never seen it before.
Yeah.
But so, I'm watching, I'm like, oh, this is going to be a stupid case. Like, they didn't even get it probably from, sucking on a pipe. They probably got it just from sharing the lipstick. Like, I thought it was going to be that simple and basic, and they took it there, though.
They took it there. I mean, there wasn't really an inciting incident or crime per se. Like, yeah, these 14, 15-year-old kids, like, they're being stupid, but they're also being
kids,
dumb high school kids,
But it's like, yeah, and at the same time, it's like, okay, we can't just be like, all right, sweep it under the rug, everyone wanted it to be.
Right, exactly. And so it isn't really an SVU situation just in that, but because it turns into, I think largely because Noah got sick through this whole situation. That's why SVU focused on it so hard.
So you do agree with the defendant at the time, where they were basically saying like, you're only caring about this because your son.
Well, I don't think it's something that they shouldn't care about, but SVU as a department being involved in it, because it's not an SVU case really, but they used the like SVU-ness of it is like the, oh, well, these ended up on porn sites, so now your kids can be, you know, charged with child pornography distribution or something, even though it's like almost, they're the children.
Yeah.
So that was their angle, to be able to like shut down the measles situation, which I think was smart, but I don't know, they probably would have pushed it to like another,
because it was a sexual act. And we've seen in other episodes, I'm reaching, but I mean, we have seen other episodes where Liv will be like, she'll sit with the girl, and even though the girl doesn't want to say like she was raped, Liv will be like, well, did you really say, like, remember, was it the high school one? Remember, and the girl was kind of like, well, we both were kind of doing stuff, and Liv was kind of being like, well, honey, if you didn't really officially say, like, I thought it was going to go so many different ways, and it was just kind of like, no, we're all friends, like, we're just rainbow.
Yeah, so did I, and I thought there could have been so much to go with keeping with the, like, the rainbow party.
It was just more of like a PSA on vaccines.
Yeah, and actually, fun fact, I read in an article about it where Light, the now former showrunner, said that they on set were talking, you know, like people on set, like cast, crew, writers, all that stuff. They were talking about, so they started seeing articles that said the lowest rate of kid vaccinations are in really poor third world countries and in Napa Valley, which is like a very affluent area in Northern California. And so they were talking about, you know, parenting and stuff at work, like together, like all these people who work at SVU, and so they're like, okay, that's kind of terrifying. Like, yeah, third world countries, that makes sense, but also like Napa Valley, that's, you know, so that's random. Like, oh, and Beverly Hills, you know, like, and so they wanted to do something on that and figure out a way to get there through some sort of SVU case.
Well, it's interesting because this story, to me, I feel like was based off an actual story from New York, specifically, and because as I was watching it, and it just kept this whole conversation. I've had it before, and the things she was saying, it's so true, and it's like we get, especially when Obama came into presidency, it just began the whole health insurance thing.
Mm-hmm.
And, I feel like it was such a good topical conversation because we don't talk about stuff like that, and it gets to the point of like, okay, do you let your government speak for you? Do you have the privilege of, you know, choosing for your own child? And then by you having the right to choose for your own child, how does that affect the rest of the world?
Right.
It was, I don't know, it was a good, I liked it. I thought it was different and interesting. It's nice to get like a little mix up so that way we don't have to see like the murders and the rapes and all that for a while.
It was definitely different, and I feel like it was a weird episode in that they went there, like it started as a sex sort of thing, and you would think it would continue in that direction, but they, you know, as writers and the show, they wanted to like touch on that in some way. So it was their way of like creatively getting to. That's like,
interesting. The Napa Valley was what
vaccine thing
pushed them with that. That's so interesting.
I know.
And did they speak anything on the fact of like Napa Valley is obviously wealthier people? Is it more like kind of how we saw tonight, like she was saying, like I want the choice because these are my children?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, that's what they were saying, like, you know, the lowest rate of vaccinations is in really poor places, but then also Napa Valley, which is a very rich place, and Light says there's something horrifying about that. People are voluntarily putting thousands of kids at risk because they decided they know more than medical science. We were intrigued by this. Very intriguing.
Interesting.
And I do think the show dealt with it. I mean, people, you know, are on both sides of this argument. I am very much for vaccinations, and though I think that the show did a good job of like not painting like the anti-vaccination people as like complete idiots, you know, because that's I think is easy to do, but would, you know, there's people who very much believe that. And you know, I think the SVU squad was very much like, oh my gosh, this is ridiculous. Like Barbara, the whole time, I feel like the whole episode, Barbara's like dumbfounded.
Yeah, like why
at every
are
turn,
we
he's like,
wasting...
what is happening? What is going on? This is ridiculous. He's like, you have these on your tablet? Are you an idiot? Like, you know.
That was hilarious. But I also feel like Missy, who played the lead mother in it.
Yeah, Trudy.
Her character irritated me more than the fact that she didn't want her children vaccinated. Like, her personally. If it was any of the other moms, because I've met people before where they do explain it and it's like, okay, religious reasons, like, there are certain things it's like, I can understand the idea behind not wanting it. But at the same time, we have to look at the other side. Mm-hmm. And I felt like her character, what made me not like her character was more of the story. Like you see, what was her son's name? Begin with a G.
What was it? I wrote
it.
Not Gavin. Anyway,
but so
her kid.
When he came in with his stepmom, and we saw the balance of her. Mm-hmm. And then when Trudy came in, it was just kind of like, oh, she's the bad mom. Like, she has to put her dick in everything. And, like, no, sorry, but you know what I mean? Like that's the tone that was set for me with her. So it was almost like anything that came out of her mouth at this point, it's like, girl, what book did you read that? What magazine did you subscribe to, read that from?
Right.
And,
it's just these very, and, like they have nothing better. Like when the moms are sitting there and they're like having their wine and they're eating lunch at one of their houses with chopsticks and stuff. Like, okay, fine. If you're having sushi at home, yeah, use chopsticks. But it's so pretentious. Yeah. The whole thing.
Haven't they disturbed us enough? Like, do you want, and like, really, do you want these pictures of your daughter's rainbow color on some boy out there? I think not.
Exactly. Yeah. So she definitely got under my skin too, and I think did such a good job of playing that like annoying, like hoity-toity mom.
I know all of the above.
Right, exactly. And so I think, I think there could have been a way to break these, break this into like 2 episodes, almost 2 separate episodes. But I think it was interesting to see where it went, for sure. And I like the lawyer who comes in.
The mom?
The mom lawyer. Because her son was at this party or something, so he has, they're getting all the phones from these kids to make sure the images are deleted and all that stuff. And they're like, you have a kid? And she's like, yeah. And like, oh, don't remind me. Like, and a cat and an appointment at 5. Like, what are we doing? Like, she was such a
She was
bitch.
awesome. I loved it. And then when she when she came and I love people like that. They're just direct and you're going to get whatever raw emotion is coming from them. And when she came and she was like to her son, open the damn locker. Like, I ain't got time for this. And then when she saw how dirty his locker was, she's like,
I feel so bad for that kid, though. Like, Mom,
like that. What is life like at home?
Yeah, she's like, you are dumber than your father. Like, oh my gosh, sucks to have her as a mom. Like, I don't know what this kid's done, but he didn't seem like, like that much of a punk.
Yeah, like, are you a single mom now? Did the dad leave? Or is he like a Bruce Jenner where he just sits at home and you just destroy his life? Like,
I haven't done nothing. That means a whole lot of different things now.
It does. But yeah, that'll be another SVU episode.
Seriously. It will, though.
Waiting for it, yeah.
I'm sure. So, fun thing about this episode, because, so if you're watching these in order, obviously, we are in the past right now where, this happened before, so we won't spoil anything, but fun to see Amaro on the screen. And he had some distressing news this episode with his son. Gil tells him that his mom is taking a job in San Diego and they're going to move soon. So that, makes us all wonder, okay, well, what's Amaro going to do about this?
New York and San Diego.
Yes, very, very far. Not an easy commute. So there's some stress there and all that. And then also with we can talk about Liv and Noah a little bit. So he was quarantined for a month or something. Not just 8 days, or in the hospital.
Yeah.
For
and
a
then
month.
At home had to be for 8 days until the next round.
Because he was exposed to measles literally the day he went to get his last shots. Because the other mom brought her son there, and and you know, that's obviously super convenient and stuff, but I liked seeing Liv, like I like when we see the characters kind of explore the different ranges and emotions and things like that. I know Yell doesn't like the children sort of thing.
I liked it, and I even though it was convenient for them to have passed that on in the doctor's office, I liked it because I think, again, it's something that we don't think about, that kind of stuff, and germs and all that stuff. So it was another interesting topic to put out there, and especially then again at the end to have her confronted with, so it's okay for you to have decided when your child can get them, but it's not okay for her to decide. That was again, because it's like there's really no right or wrong in the world, but then here we are in the community where it's like, okay, we have to weigh out, like, yes, there are things that can happen, you know, with vaccines, but most vaccines help people, save people, and the numbers are bigger if we give them out.
Well, there's no like scientific,
right,
there are no studies between, or like scientific links between vaccines and autism, you know, and
even just the way she explained it, it was almost like, okay, girl, you're reading highlights or like Better Homes or something. Like, what article are you reading? She's like, I literally
read Jenny
saw...
McCarthy's book.
Right, like,
because she's a doctor.
Which honestly, that probably
was, but not even
with
kidding.
A glass of wine.
Not even kidding. That's like has sparked so much of this nonsense. You know,
I believe it, because
people who are completely unqualified for things but have a platform get on there and start sharing stuff that is not really accurate.
She was like, I literally saw the life drain out of him once he got the vaccine, and he just wasn't the same bright eye. Have you ever looked into autism? Because it's usually kind of what happens. Like, you don't notice it until the kid starts getting a little older. So maybe in your mind, the vaccine was this evil spirit and demon, but look into autism.
Exactly. And it's not worth the, you know, not worth that situation. And because, again, no scientific link.
And no remorse to any of the kids. Like, you have no, like, not even like, I truly am sorry if my child did this. I cannot, like, this is the way I believe. Like, I wanted to see that kind of emotion. Like, make me believe, like, you are scared to have your son injected with, like, because at this point it's like, well, no, at this point I'm just going to be stubborn about it, and this is how I feel, and yada.
And the thing with that was, it wasn't just her. Like, she basically colluded with all these other moms to get all these other moms to do it too. You know, like on her soapbox and stuff, and found this old doctor who was like not really into testing and stuff, so that he would falsify records to say that they'd all been vaccinated.
Did they touch on the doctor at the end? Like, because he should be fired.
Well, he was like, they were like,
yeah.
My client wants to separate from Miss Crazy over there because he's retiring and he just wants to, like, kind of, let's sweep this under the rug and be done with it, sort of thing. And Barbara was like, okay, well, if XYZ, you know, Barbara's being like a hard ass about it. So he kind of wanted to distance from it. He's like, this is not my crusade. Like,
but it is. But to me, I don't know. Like, I get it, but at the same time, it is your crusade, because I get that she could be this, you know, rich mom coming in, and I know how they can be sometimes, and who knows what she offered or has donated to your facility or whatnot. But, like, people are trusting you, like, as a doctor. Like, people are trusting you. I'm trusting that when I come to your facility, I am in good hands. Like, Noah's out here with the measles. Yeah, like, disgusting. Like, that's disgusting. He should get,
you know, fired and his license revoked and malpractice suits, all that stuff for sure, because by doing, maybe it was the mom's plan and she like paid him off or something, but he still was the one that had the power to be able to do that, so then they could like get into schools and stuff.
Right. And inform her, like, I understand what you think, but this is the way you should be doing. This is better for your son. Like,
right.
Because you spent money and you went to school, and I'm sure after all these years, a year before you're about to retire, you don't want to get fired because you out here doing shady stuff.
Exactly.
Bye.
And in the chat, hey guys, in the chat, Amanda agrees with you that she should have at least apologized to the kids who got sick. Yes, and fantasy stats guru Barbara always sets strict ground rules. He does. I loved Barbara this episode because I love when because he's so smart and he's so sharp, and I love when he just feels like everyone around him is stupid and he's like can't handle it, and he's so good that I love seeing him like in his element like that. I also, back to talking about Liv, I love when she was very emotional. This was a very difficult episode for her, but I did love how she, after like in court and stuff, Trudy is being all like high and mighty to her and like talking about this. Well, you should have thought about vaccinating him earlier than and all this stuff. And she's like, you may want to think about shutting your mouth, like,
because really. Liv. Again, you're now deflecting. You don't want to own up to the fact that your son passed this on to everybody. Yes, she should have gotten her child vaccinated sooner. But he was being stabilized. Like, it was 2 times he had pneumonia before, right?
Yes, I believe so. And so they, there was a reason that her doctor said, let's wait a little bit because his immune system's a little weak. And yes, when you get vaccinated for things, sometimes it makes you feel a little under the weather because they give you a tiny dose of whatever they're vaccinated against and your immune system fights it off and then is able to, you don't get it. Yeah. That's how that works. And so like when you get the flu shot, sometimes people feel a little funky after, and so if this is a baby with a weakened immune system, giving him a pneumonia or measles or whatever it is, immunization, you want to make sure his little body can handle it more. Cindy Crowther, I love sassy mama bear Liv. Me too. She's like, I mean, in my head, I saw her like decking Trudy. Yep. I knew she wouldn't do that, but I was like, get her, Liv, punch her in the face.
She don't need to. She does it with her eyes.
Yeah, she wouldn't go there for sure. Another very interesting thing. So Dr. Rudnick is our team's star witness in court, which we're not going to give anything away, but pay attention to that man. Steven says he thought that Liv was going to snap this episode and pull out her weave. That would have been
actually really hilarious if
Mom
she dragged Trudy.
Yeah.
And had just like this blonde track in her hand, like, I'm done. Let's go, Noah.
Something that was interesting in one of I think it was the Law and Order, all things Law and Order .blogspot.com, that they said that, I believe, that Noah was in the ICU for about a month, and that's like such a long time. Super long. And so we didn't really get to see like how Liv was, like we saw how she was handling it, obviously emotionally very stressed, all that stuff, but not really how that affected how she was able to work.
Right.
That whole time. So that would have been kind of interesting to see. Like,
I feel like they do that a lot with these characters, and it's funny because I was actually going to bring it up when you talked about Barbara, not to fast forward into the future, but like it does. His character intrigues me because he is this strong, quick-witted person, and we haven't really seen him in a place of like nervousness or to kind of take him out of character. So I like on this show when they do that.
Yeah.
But I feel like they teeter with it. So it's like, okay, we get the story and we know that mentally Liv is probably in this weird place, but we never actually get like a full storyline of that. And I'm wondering if it's because, for how many seasons they've had this, show, and they know how the pieces go to the show, and they know what storylines, and we can put the rest together in our heads. And if they were to go that deep, then it becomes a different type of show.
Yeah, I think so. Because I think especially with, we saw with this season 16, and then we see in season 17, again, we won't give any spoilers, but that they are diving more into the characters' personal lives a little bit. So to go even, which is new, it's not completely new, but I feel like going a little bit more than in previous seasons. And so to go even deeper with that or show that would feel weird, I think.
But wouldn't you say at this point, after, if for the real true fans out there, I get that they still want to appeal to millennials and new viewers and whatnot, but to the real fans, we have given so much to these characters that it's at a point where we can understand that. We can we're okay with getting a couple of those storylines,
Yeah.
because we don't need the full thing to be action-packed, because there is a part of understanding Liv's psyche that will help me enjoy the show 10 times more, to see her go through those struggles and really how she deals with that. I would love to see that, because how do cops deal with stuff like that?
Right. And I think in season 17, we see some of those kind of glimpses of how she deals with that stress and all that. And, but it would have been nice to see, because Noah, even at this point, she's his foster mom and he's still very little, but she has such a bond with him and she loves him, and she's, he's such a huge part of her life, that it would have been good to see kind of how that affects like the day to day.
Yep. And how did you feel when she was on the stand and that lawyer was like, your son Noah, your foster son.
Yeah.
Noah. Like, it was just, you knew, like,
Daggers.
it was just a little jab under there. That was just a moment for me where it was like, can we pause this moment and throw the damn gavel at his face?
Yeah, and Barba had a little misstep in court too, with talking to Liv about like, oh, well, you think that how Noah got affected by this or infected was from, this other student. And she's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure. She's not a doctor.
Right.
You gotta like have someone who knows what they're talking about say that, because then the other lawyer was able to be like, oh, so you think where's your medical license?
And what's his name, Dr.
Rudnick.
Rudnick. He was a weird witness too, because it was like, okay, you basically can vouch for everything that the plaintiff wants, but then when the defendant goes, it's like, you got shut down, like you didn't know all your facts. You only knew the facts to support the case, not to go against. That was weird. That was weird for me. That was because he didn't know not one fact. I would think he would have came prepared, or if you're studying that stuff, you would know both sides of the numbers.
He did. He also seemed like a weird one to have as like he's not. That's not really his area of specialty. Exactly. But anyway.
Who are we?
I mean, casting, I guess, for that. I think anything else that about the like plot specifics. I mean,
I thought it was really interesting, the whole cell phone thing. That was really cool to see. I don't know if cool is the word for it, but there was something about that, like just seeing how. Because we live in this day and age where I think about that all the time, like, this is mine. Like, someone's just going to come in here and be like, we need to take all of these. And, the locker thing, I remember in school, like, okay, they can go in our lockers whenever, but, like, they could never touch my phone.
Right.
So it was interesting then to see how big of a scale it went to, like, okay, everyone lines in the cafeteria, drop your phone in here. And then the parents almost get into a point of, like, oh, no, absolutely not. This isn't going to happen. Like, it's so interesting with privacy in the world today that we live in, and where the parents' minds jump into wanting to protect their kids versus, like, back in the day, my mom would have been like, boy, get that phone up. Like, what? Why are you even saying no? What do you have in the phone? Now you don't want to get what's in the phone.
Yeah, if I had been at a party like that and there's like pictures apparently of that, my parents would not be like, oh no, that's our private property. They'd be like, are you serious, girl?
Okay, the cops would have been like, where's your phone? I would be like, my mom destroyed that phone the day after she found out what kind of party I was at.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, yeah, no, I mean,
but I mean, I get that too. Like, I don't even like giving people my phone to look at something like out of my own hand. I'm like, you can look at it while it's in my palms because it's my baby.
And it's like, you could go through it and there ain't nothing crazy for you to see, but like, there's just something about like,
don't, what are you doing?
It's mine. You can go look at my car, whatever, but my phone.
Yeah. Yeah. It's our little, Anyway.
Why are we psycho?
Yeah. So I think that's everything on as far as plot kind of things. I mean, we had a little Carisi in here with. He's like still such a little puppy dog, and Amaro and Rollins have like a not a moment necessarily, but he's talking to her about like the possible move situation, and Carisi comes in, oh, sorry to interrupt, and they're like,
you're not
interrupting anything, like a little awkward there. And ultimately the jury charges the mom,
very
Trudy,
quickly,
with
too.
not guilty of reckless endangerment in the first degree. but guilty of second-degree reckless endangerment. And even watching it again this time, I was like, oh no, she's getting away with it completely. I'm like, no, I've seen this girl. Like, come on. And so she ends up getting 3 months in jail, 9 months probation, which she's not gonna, very minimal. But like for someone like her, that's not gonna be fun at all.
Like Orange is the New Black for 3 months.
Right, exactly. So there was, I think it like split I think for people who are, pro-vaccines, there's resolution there, and people who are anti-vaccines, there's probably some resolution with that verdict too. Like,
yeah, I felt like they balanced it because it was just that they put good facts out for supporting both sides, and it wasn't really about like your theory's wrong. It's, well, here's the situation. This many people were affected. So it's like you can still have that belief, and if you take care of your child and quarantine them however you need to, but so I felt like they did a good job of balancing it, and I didn't leave the episode feeling like this is the right way, this isn't the right way, and you know what I mean, like if I was to feel one way or the other over it. So
I was pleased with the resolution of it. Okay.
I want to know what you guys at home think.
I know, right?
Like,
Everyone
are you for vaccines, or can you understand
into this? Well, I mean, Steve in the chat, I believe, said, where did he say? I meant that they believe vaccines are bad, but they don't realize how much damage it could do to the rest of the population, how dangerous that is. Exactly. I mean, no one's getting, things are very like chill in the chat. Right now.
Off day.
Yeah, and shout out to y'all in the chat. Amanda, Steven, Sini. I'm sorry, I don't know if I'm saying that right.
Signe?
No, Sini. Sini, I think, probably. Amy, Marishka. Nice. You. Fantasy Stats Guru. Aubrey. There's a lot. Lil, Brianna, EXO, Carmen.
Hey,
yeah, hey guys, thanks for chatting along with us. And while we're at it, if you guys like this after show, and we hope you do, we love doing it. Do us a favor and get on iTunes and leave us a review. As we like to tell you, 5 stars if you love it, 4 stars if you don't love it, and write us a review like this. This is typing.
Make sure the keyboard's at eye level.
Type the review out, and then if you leave us a review, we will read it on air, and I will give a dramatic interpretation of it. We don't have a new one this week, so
make sure
you guys don't get to hear this. Week. Yeah. So let's
see
get
what
some more
dramatic
reviews, you guys. Come on. If you haven't written one and you watch every week, what are you waiting for? So subscribe on iTunes, subscribe on YouTube, leave us a review, and you can also find us on SoundCloud as well. I've got a little bit of real SVU. I guess it's not SVU news because it's not about sexually based offenses.
Neither was this one.
Yeah, so it's related to this episode though. So measles was like done for in like 2000 or something. And so measles should not be happening anymore at all. But even in, I believe there was a measles outbreak as recent as, this article is from 2 days ago, from June 20th, 3 days ago, measles outbreak in Shelby County declared over. So there was a measles outbreak in Shelby County, which is in Tennessee, that started on, the first exposure was April 5th, 2016. So, that's a couple months, 2 or 3 months. And there was a total of 7 confirmed cases, 36 patients were monitored and or quarantined, and 934 people were exposed. 67 public locations were affected, and a total of 385 vaccines were administered. Damn. Highly contagious viral infection, which starts with high fever, runny nose, cough, and red eyes, followed by a few days later by rash on the head, which gradually moves down the body. Usually relatively mild, but can result in complications, including pneumonia or inflammation of the brain, which require hospitalizations. Or hospitalization. No. Yeah. And, you guys, there was another measles outbreak in Arizona.
Oh, that's close.
Yes. And it was the second outbreak in 2 years. And the CDC declared, in 2000, that measles had been eradicated in the United States. And the reason that this kind of stuff, these things that are not supposed to be happening anymore, are coming back is because of people who don't vaccinate. Sorry, I'm saying it. And there have been other things, like I think there was like just other very weird illnesses that have been gone but are like popping up places because there is a trend of not vaccinating, which is terrifying. Because
what carries it for all those years? Like animals or like interesting.
Yeah, and
I just want to live in a bubble.
You can.
Remember Bubble Boy?
Right? Yeah, that's what I was saying. You can. So we've even had just as recent as like this month, the last few months, measles outbreaks. So this kind of stuff happens.
And that girl came down with all them dots on her face. I was like, she's like, Mom, what's wrong?
The jig is up.
Girl, you go upstairs.
Yeah.
What? Don't come down
measles. There we go. All right. So I think that is pretty good. So we now want to talk a little bit about, I love Steve in the chat is like, measles, goodness, common sense, people, for seriously.
Upset.
Thanks guys about my hair. I did it this morning to myself. What? Anyway, okay, so we are like on summer break right now, kind of, but by popular demand, we're going to be filling in several episodes over the next few weeks, months, whatnot, that we did not get to from various past seasons. So I tweeted this out, Yell tweeted it out, you maybe tweeted it out, but let's talk about it real quick. So obviously today, granting immunity. Next week, we will not be here. On July 7th, we are going to do season 9, episode 15, Undercover. On July 14th, season 11, episode 13, PC. On July 21st, nothing, because several of us will be at Comic-Con. Mm-hmm. Yep. And then July 28th, season 12, episode 5, Wet. And on August 4th, season 5, episode 15, Families. August 11th, season 5, episode 25, Head. On August 18th, season 10, episode 6, Babes. On August 25th, season 2, we going back.
Dang, throwback Thursday.
Season 2, episode 9, Pixies. And then, so after August, we'll kind of...
Pixies is a good one.
Mm-hmm.
And
that's my birthday week, so that'll be fun.
And someone else, it's one of those ones where a character from the newer season... She's in that episode. Crap, I'm gonna be prepared for that week. But she plays a totally different character from that episode too.
No. We get like a
They've done that a couple times.
Yeah, they have.
I wonder about the Wet episode though. Little fun story. When I lived in New York, I found out what Wet was. So I thought I was smoking a normal marijuana joint. But you always have to be prepared. First of all, you know what I mean, and ask what you doing. But so this man, Wet is when you take, Wet is when people will take embalming fluid. No, so you really need to know, because I almost like got hurt from this. They put embalming fluid in marijuana, and they don't tell people because they think it's funny to see how people react to it.
Messed up people get.
I would be very interested to see if that's tied to that, because it's almost like a date rape kind of situation.
Yeah, I don't.
I'm sure it probably isn't, but that just reminded me to a moment in New York from that.
I mean, obviously, if Yell were here, she'd be able to recite all the details of it.
Wet is actually about.
Oh no, it's related to drugs, so we shall see. Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. So yes, we'll have a few breaks over the summer, but pretty much filling in old episodes. Again, we tweeted out the schedule. And on September 21st is the fall season premiere. So, in the meantime, you guys, actually, real quick, we've got a lot happening in the chat here. So, Lil Brianna XOX1 is also a New Yorker. Jesse, hey. Yes, Steven, we will tweet out the episode that we will be doing next. I didn't expect you guys to write those down or memorize them.
What?
I'm just letting you know in case you were like, oh, I have this favorite episode that I really want you guys to do. And still, if we didn't name one that you really want us to do, tweet it to us too, because, at times when we have breaks and stuff, we'll slot them in there. Yes, but we tweeted it out. And so I guess, once again, we can tell everybody where to find us on Twitter and where to... And then where to find us in the meantime when we're not here doing SVU. So guys, you can find me everywhere online at Lauren Salaun. That's LaurenSalaun, and I do a lot of Snapchatting, Instagramming, tweeting, and things like
Just
that.
a very pretty Instagram.
Oh, thank you, Jesse.
It's very appealing to the eyes.
Thanks so much. I appreciate that.
And you're very motivating.
Oh, well, thanks. Well, guys, go follow me on Instagram. Shit. All right, where can they find you?
A little less motivating, more kind of like a little dick. But you guys can follow me over at DJ Jesse J, and I am on Snapchat. And I think you can find me as DJ Jesse J, but because I did it a long time ago, it's under Degree God with a 0.
Hey. All right, guys, thank you so much for tuning in. Thanks to all of you in the chat. We love talking to you, and we will see you guys not next week, but the week after.
Bye!
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AfterBuzzTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AfterBuzz TV.
Dun dun.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.